Bow. Hey everybody, welcome back to Karandrin Role Playing. My name is Kevin Manus Pennings, also known as Crack Palantir, and I will be your host and game master for this episode 159 of Brise's Tale. And as always, my good buddy Max is here to play the beautiful and talented paladin Brise. Max, say hello to the lovely people.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming back after our little brief break we had.
Yeah, we had some travel and so on that interrupted us for a couple of weeks. So, but kind of worked out. We're sort of at a chapter end in a way in the stream because you were able to very unexpectedly knock out a sort of major milestone that had been kind of haunting you.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the rescue of the Dreamweaver named Elbrig, whose spirit had been trapped.
Mm-hmm.
And so by freeing her, you took her abilities away from the necromancer, Volshad.
My dice. Keep continuing.
So Volshad was hoping to use Elbrig, the Dreamweaver, to influence people's dreams, and the idea being to build influence among nobles and that sort of thing. Prophesize her own arrival, become an advisor maybe to some of these powerful goblin nobles in the nation of Nargaz. So just through sort of happenstance and things falling in your favor, though it was touch and go for quite a while.
Right. Originally, they were very out of our favor, but then they turned around.
Yeah, things really, I mean, it was on a knife's edge. It really was. It was really scary.
A purple-eyed knife.
Yeah. So, it was pretty tense. Those were fun episodes. I enjoyed doing those. Having a teleport chase throughout the region.
Mm-hmm.
That was really interesting. So, but now Brise is back at Lady Miagral's keep, isn't that right?
No, actually, we're still at the dwarven city of Gordovan.
Gordovan, that's right.
We were resting at a temple.
Oh, that's right.
We had brought the lantern, the now empty lantern, to the temple to be destroyed, and we actually just spent the night here. And I don't have what time we woke up, but it is sometime during July 14th.
Okay.
We're underground, so
right.
The time of day.
Right. Forgive me. Yeah, I forgot it. You guys had taken shelter in the temple to finally duck out from the pursuit and take a much needed rest after being chased.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see. You and Doshrik had been teleporting throughout the region while Holver, another necromancer, was tracing your teleports and hunting you down.
Right.
Yeah. So, that was fun. That was some fun, tense stuff. It's the first time we've done a teleport chase in Karandrin. So,
yeah.
And that's after,
you know what? Let's not do another one. That was stressful enough.
Maybe with lower stakes. How about that? That would be okay. With the threat of death is not so great.
My teleport. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so we just wake up in this very lavish temple quarters, probably to some paladin who's off duty right now, or somewhere else right now. And I guess we just do our normal morning routines. I look at Doshrik and I'm like, do you know what time of day is it? How do you tell the time here?
Yeah, and inside of a dwarven hold, pretty difficult to tell. Um, so, do we do your three? Do we do your three rolls?
Yeah, I had a dream actually of Elbrig guiding us through a forest to a warm glen with a cool lake. Very pleasant dream.
Good. Um, so yeah, breakfast brought to you um, by an acolyte. Um, it's actually quite tasty, you find. After or while you're finishing your meal, there's a knock at your door. And you hear Doshrik call in from the hall. Do you allow him in?
Yes.
He sees that you're eating and says, "Forgive me if I'm interrupting."
No, come in.
He asks how you rested.
I say slept better than I have in weeks. I'm surprised a dwarven hole would have a place so comfortable.
The beds aren't too short. That's the real surprise.
Yeah. Put two beds, together. So
Yeah, end to end, He nods and tells you that his acolyte told him that we're free to leave, of course, at any time. And he's just as happy to, um, to leave whenever you're ready or if you'd rather take some time in the city, we could do that as well. For those who may not remember, Gordovan is partly within a mountain, which is generally referred to as Inner Gordovan, and then the Outer Gordovan is the overspill from the mountain hold, and it's a walled city. But largely it's occupied by dwarves inside the dwarven hold. They get priority for housing and businesses and so on, and outside is a mix of dwarf, elf, and some goblin, and some human.
Is Gordorvan the capital of the Avalar?
No, I forget the capital's name. I haven't looked at it in ages. No, it's further south. This is the northernmost major city.
Got it. Okay.
Of Avalar. And so, yeah, but it's a major one. And of course, you're on the bottom story of it.
Yeah. I mean, new city, definitely a cool place to explore, but I don't want to keep Doshrik. Plus, I might need his help getting back to the keep. I don't know if I can teleport there.
Right.
From here. I ask, what's my teleport range again? 50 miles, 10 miles a level. So I say, would you say Balabry is, 150, basically within 200 miles from here? If so, I could teleport there myself. Need you to teleport us.
He is not certain.
Okay.
But he's happy to stay with you. He'd rather not be gone longer than a day now that things have wrapped up, but Fraldrum knows that you guys are away, so
right.
He's not being missed.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I just tell him, if wouldn't mind taking a day in the city. I feel like we've deserved a day off. We could interested in any. Seems to be a lot of great sculpture around here, a lot of great art. Wouldn't mind taking some time to look into that.
He nods and says, "By all means, we could certainly use a break from our harrowing escape." He says he'll make himself ready and just come knock on his door when you're ready to leave, and you guys will go out into the dwarven hold of Gordovan and see the sights.
Yeah. Let me think of anything. I guess it's just a major city in general, right? Any resources I could stock up on? I'm definitely a little short on potions, so we could always roll up a shopping trip, maybe off stream if you wanted.
Yeah.
Potions and herbs, yeah. Okay.
Do you do your morning routine?
Yeah.
Eating, gather your gear, feed Asriel.
I'll wear my town. Well, actually, I didn't pack them, right? I would only have my adventuring gear.
Right.
I remember that. So I'll just, wear all my adventuring gear and we'll go fetch Doshrik.
And out into the city you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, Gordovan, the inner hold, is a massive hollowed out chamber within the mountain that is held by enormous pillars of stone that are 60, 70, 80 feet thick. And within the columns, there are businesses and residences. So you guys are on the ground floor where the columns start, of course, and reach to the ceiling. And there are archways and bridges between the higher floors connecting the pillars. The stone is a light beige, reflects a lot of light. And the dwarven gem lights are, aglow. The city is very much a bustle already. Air filled with smells of food and smoke.
Mm. I wonder, where does all the smoke go? Does it just collect is it the cave big enough that it just dissipates?
They must have some means of ventilation.
Mm-hmm.
I've thought a lot about this, like in terms of purification of water and stuff like that, like quarries and mines, they collect a lot of heavy metals in the water.
Mm-hmm.
And the dwarves would have to have a means of dealing with that as water comes trickling in.
Or their bodies are just used to it.
That's right. They
don't drink the water in Gordovan. Get bottled water.
Bottled water. Canned water. Water-skinned water brought from outside. Dwarves are immune to heavy metal poisoning. And that is why they have been the miners of all the worlds. That's hilarious. Yeah.
Oh.
Or it's lead poisoning has kept them, from being wizards and sorcerers. It's neurological damage. Explains all of it.
That's why they're grumpy all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Ill-tempered. Why are my children so stupid? It's because they drink about 20 pounds of lead a day. That's why. That's why they're slow. so they're a little slower than other
Yeah,
races.
they're moving
It's
speed.
literally too much lead.
Oh man.
This is all coming together just fine. We're figuring out the medical reality of fantasy worlds. You notice that all the elves here are really short. You're like, oh man, there's a link here. There's got to be something. Not totally unexpectedly, there are birds that have made it in through the main doors.
Yeah.
And roost on the upper balconies and the bridges. There are certainly a countable number of pillars, more than a dozen.
Hey Quinn, sorry I wasn't checking chat here.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
All brought to you by Dwarven Technology.
Stunts to growth. That's right. So, yeah. So you guys set off. What direction you want to head?
Well, I asked Oshrig, is like, do you know any places of art or history that are would be, a must see on a trip to Gordovan? Perhaps a place of sculptures.
You'll find a lot of relief work, he tells you, on the corners of the pillars, which of course are themselves businesses and residences that have been hollowed out. But and so he just sort of points in a direction, and you guys walk down, and there's a carving of a king at the corner of the square base of one of these pillars. Throne, crown. At his foot is propped up on an enormous gem. And the gem is actually crystal, not the native stone. And it's a source of light and glows. The work is just remarkable. And there's a dwarven man using a long brush, and he's cleaning the statue, getting rid of dust and everything. There's clearly a pride about maintaining the area around you and maintaining, dwarven works.
Right.
This is sort of his spot, and he's going to maintain it and, outshine his neighbors and that sort of thing.
Did he carve the statue or no? He's just.
You would have to ask him, of course.
Yeah. I'll go up to him and ask, excuse me, do you know the maker of this sculpture?
What language do you want to use?
That's right. I only know a couple phrases in Dwarven.
One of them happens to be, did you carve the statue?
Who statue? Four, right? So I could like broken sentences.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, they're next door to Theaxia.
I was going to say, Thax is probably a better bet. I'll ask him in Thax. No, who do you know who the carver of this statue is? Oh my God, Quinn. Dwarves are great navigators because they literally feel the magnetic pull. Yep, that's north.
That is
That's pretty crazy.
the ancient dwarven ritual of chelation. Do you know what chelation is?
No.
It's a chemical process by which heavy metals are removed from the body. So, yeah, that's hilarious. Oh, magnetic north. That is hilarious. You would think they'd be better sailors.
North, they all look at me like,
exactly.
Feel it.
It was kind of cool, right? Because they could have like, if that were true, right? They would have a sense of direction underground as well.
Yeah,
that's kind of cool. But man, you turn on a microwave and those guys go nuts. That's just horrible. Worse than having a pacemaker.
Or their great weakness is just a giant magnet. I can't.
Just gives them migraines. Oh, what is that?
Oh man.
Oh my gosh. Looks you up and down. The dwarf does. Tells you, legend has it that Ingral II carved this. It's a great work, is it not?
Indeed. Is it a depiction of himself?
No, no. This is Hashled the Fifth, legendary ruler of the Western Kingdom. No, sorry, Eastern Kingdom. Eastern Kingdom.
Sorry, my metals are all mixed up.
And my metals are. I haven't had my water today. Quinn, that's not how you spell Laura.
Laura.
They tell you, when a dwarf tells you it's a load of crap, it's LODE, load. That's
load.
He was the last ruler of the Eastern Kingdom before it fell. Pushed out by the tribes of the Eastern Mountains. What brings you to the city?
Just sightseeing.
Fear. Just absolute fear. We were running for our lives. Funny story that. Let me tell you. He gestures to his shop, which is one of the ones that occupy the base of the pillar. It's smithy. It's like, can I offer you any services? Any armor need repairing? We work fast.
What do I get? What's the vibe I get from him? Does he seem like a good guy?
Roll.
43.
A seems like just a open book.
All right. I just say, I'll take a look at your wares, although I have nothing to repair. Do some window shopping.
He says, we don't have much that's ready-made. We take orders.
Oh, okay.
He's got a couple of shields. Plus 25 craft normal shields.
Wow.
Very well made.
Very well made.
Some daggers. Crystal work at their hilts. A few visored helms. But that's kind of it in terms of, the rest of it is sort of household goods or tools and things like that.
Okay. I do ask him, do you happen to know if there's any, not tailors necessarily, but people who deal in fabrics? Any people who sell fabrics?
Mini?
Purchase some for Aldrich. It's a little memento.
On this floor, there's several 2 streets over.
He says floor as in, are we on the pillar right now, like climbing up?
No, you're at the square base of the pillar, and you just walk in inside the square base, and that is their business, part of their business. That is to say, their business is part of the square base. There's 4 different businesses.
So is this the ground floor or the basement?
Right.
Obi-Wan Karen was stuck in the vortex. Well, hopefully we got you out of the vortex.
That's right.
Hopefully it wasn't the dream-eating demons from
Right.
Sidarius.
So he says there are several cloth merchants, tailors, that whole sort of thing, 2 streets down. Keeps looking over at Doshrik. Doshrik keeps, pulling his hood lower and lower over his bird face. Finally, Doshrik gestures to his face and says, "A curse from my childhood. I hope you take no offense." And the dwarf says, "No, of course not. Of course not."
I just turn around and look at him and I'm like, jeez. Pretend like I have no idea who he is.
No, pretend like he used to be human. He just changed. What, Chief Joe? What? No, what happened? Did you drink the water? Can't drink the water here. That joke cracking me up. I want to keep running with that. We need to get you back to Cordovan more often so we can make more poison water jokes.
All right, Quinn found us the right term. Shearers, spinners, weavers, fullers, and dyers, and clothiers coordinate the whole process. So, I suppose I'd ask after clothiers would be the best term.
Everything's dyed black because of the lead in the water. Anyway, all right. So the
Do you have anything in not black?
and they're like, what are you talking about? This is red. I'm like, oh God, their vision is gone. This is just awful. Poor sad people. They're all sterile.
If I ever end up playing a dwarf in Karandrin, my character sheet will just be like -25, -25, -25.
All the stats. That's right.
Depending on how much water you drank.
That's right. You go outside, like outside of a hold or like the smaller villages and things, and the dwarves are all like 8 feet high. You're like, oh my God, the holds are just poisoning the shit out of these
dwarfs.
people. That's right.
They're high dwarves.
High dwarves.
Oh.
Yeah, we keep telling them not to live in the holds, but oh my God. It's so great. So where to next?
Yeah, we'll go to 2 streets down and look, see if there's anything in the shop windows that catches my eye. Any nice fabrics. I never even asked what like Aldriff's, like if he has a certain material or color that he likes.
All right.
So if I ever see it.
You reach the clothiers, and find bolts of cloth, and like instead of the bolt being like this wide because it's dwarves, it's like this wide. You're like, oh, this is not useful.
Yard of cloth.
Yeah. You pass numerous statues at corners of the, I guess they're called plinths, the base on which a pillar stands. So these giant plinths have sculpture at their corners. Wow. Rolled a 190. Dragon wrapped around a tower.
Wow.
Lights of the tower are similar lights. The windows of the tower are a similar crystal to that of that royal sculpture. They give off light. Kneeling down, there are people at the base, dwarves pointing up to the dragon. You can make out genders, facial expressions, even though, at this point the figures are this big, it's just such detailed work, and the stone is fine grained enough to hold it. You're really just enraptured by it. In the dragon's mouth, there is a red crystal that gives off a reddish light as though it's his breath. You've passed in the distance. You've seen adventurers passing by,
Mhm.
groups and singletons, but not a ton.
I need to look up. Recall there was that magic item that Volshad mentions he was pursuing. Um, Candle of 9 fingers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember which directions he said she was looking for it in? I thought she gave like a direction.
I don't recall.
Take a quick look in case if we're in the region, right?
Right.
No, she just speaks of searching for it. Okay. If I get in a conversation with some adventurers, I could mention it.
You probably should have asked at the temple.
True. That's okay.
Doshrik might know. Did you guys have that discussion at the time?
I don't think so because I think it was very much touch and go. So as we're walking, I'll bring it up with him. It's overheard something in the conversation between Holver and Volshad through my familiar yesterday, and Volshad spoke of hunting an item called the 9-fingered candle. Is it something you've heard of?
He shakes his head. Says, I do have a contact here who might know.
Okay. Be good if we stop in. It seemed like it was a heavily guarded item, and she was making good progress towards getting her hands on it. Whatever we could do to thwart her plans. Maybe get her out of Nargaz for good. She can't make any progress here.
There is a contact I have here. A dwarven woman of good heart named Gandasir. She's on the upper levels. Runs a very specialized library. She has some of the broadest knowledge of arcane items I have ever encountered, exceeding that of Fraudrum's even.
Okay.
He points much deeper into the hold to a distant pillar, one of the ones at the far back before it gives way to natural rock. And in the distance, you can see that there's 2 other pillars that they're carving out of the back wall. There's scaffolding.
Wow.
But he points to a distant pillar and says, her shop and home are atop that one.
Okay.
You guys pass to the street that was indicated. Pick a random direction. All good. This seems to be sort of a small fashion district.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It seems hard to get lost here, being, you can always orient yourself using the pillars.
Right.
Do I remember if there was a 9 stars site here as well in Oshekra's notes? I know he mentioned Elven States and Theaxia. I don't think he mentioned.
I don't think there is.
Okay. Yeah, I was checking through my notes. I don't see it here either. So.
There is a large entourage of desert folk gathered around one of the shops. Very posh. Over a dozen camels in their group, adorned with jewels and crystals. Guards stand ready for trouble. They are very serious looking. Their hands are on their weapons the whole time.
I'm going to steer clear of that. Don't want to accidentally bump into somebody and then get kicked out of the city.
Honestly, you could flash a smile and probably get out of a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
So you just go to one across the street. Donstrig puts a hand on you as you turn toward them. He's like, if you don't mind, I might attract attention, particularly among the desert folk. Roll for me.
I know he said Lord Hestus, I think, had one of his kind. 84.
Now, you recall that the portal that brought him here is above the desert.
Yes, okay.
And so others of his kind may have made it through and be more familiar with his people. And he doesn't want the attention here in a dwarven city.
Right. I say, I understand. Just I can meet you in, just point out an alleyway and I'll meet you there once I'm done shopping.
Points to a pillar across the street. Says, I admire the statuary over there. Take your time.
All right. Quinn says, Brise has to face her most dangerous adversary yet. White girl privilege.
Oh, my God.
White high girl privilege. Thank you very much.
That's right.
Not only am I white, I'm highborn.
That's right. Make it into the shop. Human. Middle-aged woman. Greets you in Dwarven. Begins chattering away in Dwarven.
Mm-hmm.
Too fast for you to follow. Although she's clearly gesturing to fabrics and to clothing that's already, that's in process.
Mm-hmm. I ask in Thax, do you happen to have anything, any fabrics ready? Yards of fabrics for purchase.
Forgive me, my lady. she says, and thanks. Indeed, we do. Several in the back. What color? What type of fabric?
I say I keep forgetting what to call Aldrich. The man I'm courting. I wanted to give a gift for a friend who's a tailor. Anything you think that would go well into?
And for an upper clientele.
Yeah, upper clientele. That's a good way to put it.
You've certainly come to the correct place. She brings out several bolts of fur. All right, Quinn. Brings out several bolts of fabric. Wow. I think you've settled on one. Geez, rolled a double aught.
There you go.
There's a shimmering silver that is just so soft to the touch. It's just amazing. It is beautiful. It feels so comfortable. It looks absolutely regal.
I'll take. I forgot how much I got from the phenol. Like 3 yards. I think we kind of said is
It would make a outfit.
okay. Say how much for 9 yards of this this material.
$15 gold.
All right. That's fine with me.
You do have a logistical problem, and that is
Carrying it.
you just be lugging it around. Although I guess you just pour it into your bag of holding.
Yeah. I'm assuming I could just wrap it up,
Yeah.
Kind of in there.
Measures it off, cuts it. There's also a rich blue that she brought out. Luxuriant. There's a deep forest green. They're all very high quality to the touch.
Oh my gosh. I'll stick with this one.
Funny, Quinn. Anything else I can help you with? An outfit for yourself, perhaps?
I mean, Doctor did say for me to take my time.
But wouldn't you rather take the fabric and let Aldrich make it for you? Do you think
You're right. Yeah, that would be more interesting. Oh, but I won't see Aldrich for potentially a couple of weeks. That's fine. What am I going to do? So I say that'll be all. And thank her again. And we'll go rendezvous with Doshrik.
He is talking to a pair of adventurers as you approach. One has their cloak and hood pulled, their hood pulled well down. Very secretive. Seems possibly a little deformed, maybe with a hunched back.
Hmm. Oh, excuse me. How much does the fabric weigh, by the way? I can see if I can find the the previous.
I don't know. If we say £1 a yard, I don't think that's unreasonable.
Okay. 9 pounds.
Doshrik sees you approach, gestures towards you, and the others turn toward you. Doshrik says, Igriv, Donakai, this is my friend Brise. We're traveling together for a while. The non-hunched figure is a halfling, female, quite pretty.
Ooh, excuse me. Okay.
They're seeking a place north of here called the Valley of the Veins. So named because the mountains have some red crystalline ore that runs through them. It glows periodically at night. I have not heard of such. Have you?
I can't say I have.
Roll it up, actually.
83.
You've heard the name before, probably overheard in a conversation with adventurers. Roll again.
29.
Can't place when and where.
Can't help you, unfortunately. North of here would be Alamar, right?
No, that's west of here.
Oh.
North of here is Miagral's area.
Nargos. Okay, Southern Nargos, yeah. Funny that I am. No, it's great. It always crazy to be that you just pick up your phone and you can see, the geography of anywhere on Earth. But like when you're in these settings, you're like, I'm like, what mountains are north of here? Like I know Miagral's Keep, but there's a lot of mountains, right? Like could be multiple ranges.
Right.
It's definitely it's almost a little frustrating. You're like, oh, the world's so big. How do you keep track of everything?
You don't have a nice reference that you can just go to and sort of immediately grasp a nice overhead understanding of things.
Right. It also explains a lot of how maps looked so different, depending on cartographers back then,
right.
How accurate they were. Yeah. No, so I tell them can't help them. Do they both look like spell casters? Or like I guess you said they're adventurers.
The halfling is clearly one of the arts.
Okay.
The the other person who has not spoken and is clearly not from around here. Um, could be either way with him. He could be mixed, as you are, a semi-arms user, right?
Right.
Some spells, some weapons.
Is he an A1? Does he just have like a giant head and his hood's like covered?
Yeah, exactly. Like a trash bag over his head. The halfling takes out 10 gold for each of you. Thanks you for your time. And they shuffle off.
Okay.
Doshrik says, interesting pair, weren't they?
Generous, for sure. You don't know them.
No,
Question.
I think they felt comfortable coming up to me because they saw me as an outworlder as well.
Okay.
Clearly the silent one is from some distant land.
Right.
I hope they find the peace that I have found here. I like your world very much.
I never asked, why did he leave his world? Bigger birds.
I was fleeing pursuit. The petty lord that ruled our rookery had been persecuting my family, trumping up charges, pursuing some of the females. I got in a struggle with a guard, became wanted. A chase began. I spent several nights in the marshes. And then I came to see a portal in the sky. I flew to investigate and went through, finding myself very high off the ground, above the deserts north of the Pin Clans. I soared down, but the sun was so bright there that I couldn't see the portal anymore.
Wow.
I decided to make a go of it here. And maybe one day I'll return with my fortunes more intact to get my family out of trouble.
Right. I say, I hope your family is doing well without you. It's difficult to be away from them. Another world away.
It worries me. He looks off in the distance and sort of thinking to himself. And I think we ought to take a break,
Sure, yeah.
and we will go stretch our legs and refill our drinks, gang. So you feel free to do the same. We'll be back in just a few minutes. Hello, everybody. Thanks for your patience. Let's get our buddy Max back on here. There he is. We're exploring the Dwarven Hold, the active Dwarven Hold of Gordovan in the nation of Avalar. It's Brise's first time here. He is there with his companion Doshrik. You see him mentioned there in the caption down below. They came to the city fleeing pursuit by teleport and was able to evade their pursuers. And now they're just doing some sightseeing, gathering information, and so on. And speaking of, Doshrik turns to you and says, shall we go see Gandasir?
Let's do it. Could you tell me how to spell her name, Doshrik?
Gandasir.
It was close. I thought it was Ganda, Seer. Gandasir. I see the Ganda. Ganda is the Dwarven word for heavy metals. She can see them.
Oh, God. Yeah, I feel like there's so many more jokes to be made there.
It's kind of a gold mine, if you will.
Oh, well done, sir. So quite a bit of walking. Roll for me.
3.
Roll again and subtract it.
I fall and break my ankle. -2. so 1. Obi-Wan, if you don't get the dwarf heavy metal joke, then rewatch the recording.
Yeah. The earlier part of the stream, we were joking about heavy metal poisoning of dwarves.
Eventually, 40 episodes later, we're going to be like, 159. Go back to 159. You'll get it.
That's right. All these jokes refer to 159. Now, this joke is from 122. We have to footnote our jokes because we have such a back.
Bringing that one back.
Seriously, Kevin, 122 again.
I told you never to bring that up again.
It's triggering. There are more adventures at this end of town. Just seems to be the case. There seems to be more acceptance of the unusual in this city generally. Like, you'll catch things out of the corner of your eye and you're like, was that something sitting on somebody's shoulder, or was that something floating behind someone?
Yeah.
And here you see a group of adventurers with a chest that is floating behind them.
Like a treasure chest?
Mm-hmm. You make it to this very back pillar. Doshrik looks up and says, "These are the days I wish it was appropriate to fly. This is going to be quite a hike." And up
We'll get our cardio in, don't worry.
That's right. Up the steps you go.
I'm surprised there's no like lifts. I guess there was for goods, right? But maybe not for people.
Right.
Like going between platforms. Yeah.
And, dwarf strength and constitution, right? Their endurance. They don't.
Power through it, yeah.
Yeah, they just don't see it as a problem. What is nice is that the steps are not particularly steep because the dwarves have to make them shallower.
Right. So it's easy, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Easier.
I guess it has to be ramps. I forget. It needs to be ramps, not steps.
Oh, for carts, yeah.
Yeah, I always forget that.
God, imagine a runaway cart. Ugh.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Have you ever driven in the mountains and seen those the pull-off areas?
Yeah.
For emergency truck stops?
Yeah.
Jeez, terrifying. Their brakes just blow and man. Up you go. Smell of food hits you and you both realize you're quite hungry.
I'm sure we can find something on the way up and just follow the smell.
Yeah. There's a tavern. Large, well lit. Feeling of prosperity to it. Run by halflings. Large family, apparently. Cute halfling children running, cleaning tables, running a beer here and there, laughing. I mean, it really is just sort of a wonderful, warm atmosphere.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to be in good cheer. Place is busy. One large group of adventurers in the back. Sort of a mix about their approachability. It's kind of hard to read. Some are sort of kind of low and hunched and, are, sort of glancing behind them. But others are, laid back and, drinking and just, seem more open to approach.
Right.
But it's a group of a dozen or more. Give us
A lot of rolls.
There's stew and roasts and cheeses aplenty.
Oh my goodness.
Ales and wines and spirits. You sort of order whatever.
Yeah. I'm just here for lunch.
The food is out of this world. It is some of the best stuff you have ever tasted.
Wow.
Double hot.
And it won't make my whole body go numb.
That's right. There's You're having a roast with potatoes and carrots, a wedge of cheese on the table, massive loaf of bread. You guys eat happily.
Well, I have to get the name of this fine establishment. Mark it down on my list of places.
The High Hill Tavern.
I'm just going to say Gordovan back pillar.
Yep.
I don't know if they have names for the pillars or just identify them.
$3 silver is what you wind up spending.
Okay.
You sort of dodge a few leering looks from admirers.
Halflings. You're not easy to dodge that. You just look up.
Exactly. They could be halflings, but with the water here, they could be humans.
They could be elves.
Right. You just don't know. So you guys are slow to leave. It's just such a warm atmosphere. Possibly the best tavern you've ever been to. I mean, just the food and cheer and the whole atmosphere.
Yeah.
You leave reluctantly, go up the ramp to the final height. There, the vibe changes very much. Robed and cloaked figures stand about the walkway, talking, often with a book in their hand. Everyone notes your presence as you come up. Some draw away from you. Doshrik leans down to you and says, "It's best not to seem to pry here."
Okay. I'll keep to myself.
Pass through the doors. It is a small bookshop in the front, and then a counter or desk, and then back beyond that, a whole other library. There's a sense of movement back there. Dwarven female of indeterminate age looks up from the desk, removes her spectacles, and whispers, "I'll be," in Dwarven. Lifts her robed figure up, approaches Doshrik, clasps his feathered hand very warmly.
A little birdie told me you'd be here.
Oh my God.
Literally, your friend came by.
A big bird. A Sesame Street character.
No, he's a little birdie because he lives here and drinks the water. Very squat.
That's right. Doshrik used to be 12 feet high. And
I always forget Doshrik's pretty tall. Yeah.
Yeah, he's really tall. He's over 7 foot. Um, Doshrik switches to Thax, introduces you. She's sort of a very dear person, takes your hand very warmly, both hands. She says, I'm Gandasir, aid to the sages. Any friend of Doshrik is more than welcome.
Pleased to meet you.
Just come.
Mind if I ask, what sages do you serve?
Any who come and seek me out. She calls to the back and says, come mind the store, I have company. She gestures for you to follow her.
Mm-hmm.
She goes beyond the desk and back into the back library. Cuts to the right. Go past rows and rows of books. There are tables back there. Robed men and women hunched over volumes. Gandasir, as she walks, says, I don't have very long, I'm afraid. Not just at the moment. A few minutes, maybe. Then a client will be expecting me. But this evening, I am free, of course. Go back. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just ask. And your time is appreciated. And I look at Doshrik, and if we decide to meet you in the evening, we can certainly arrange that if we have the time.
Opens to a very well-appointed office. There's a sitting area with couches. You notice at these upper levels that it's considerably warmer than it is down below. A small fire is going nonetheless in a little hearth. She gestures for you to sit. Gestures with a bottle of what looks like brandy. Doshrik waves it away.
I'll take a small glass.
Passes it over, pours herself one. It's a very good brandy.
Mm. Grand Mariner. I think that's cognac. I don't even know.
They catch up for a while. It's been about a year since they've seen each other, apparently. Asks after his family. Says, I've yet to return. They discuss the problem of finding the portal again.
Hmm.
She says she still has some inquiries out. But then it turns to talk about the 9-fingered candle.
Mm-hmm.
Her face darkens. And she says, "Why do you ask after that foul thing?"
I explained that there's a necromancer we've been
Embroiled with.
Right, basically, who's been in our territory that we've been trying to work against, and we have caught wind that she's pursuing this item and making progress towards obtaining it. Thought it would be whatever we can know what it is, and if we can stop her in any way.
She leans forward and says, "You must." And I say we end it right there.
Okay.
So we will be back next week, of course.
I think someone just knocked over a 9-fingered candle in the other room.
So we'll come back and finish this sort of ominous conversation with Gandasir, the advisor to sages, and that'll be next Wednesday, of course, at our usual time. So thanks for joining us, of course. And if you think we're doing a good job, then hey, like, subscribe, hop the donor box and send us a little love. Be sure to go check out Max's YouTube channel where he discusses the role of music and original soundtracks in video games. Thanks, as always, to Elliot Dunovitz for their terrific character art that we use for Brise almost every episode. And I've written a novel called Shore Too Far. And if you want to see more of it, you can find it on Amazon. Buddy, why don't you say goodbye to these lovely people?
Quinn is disappointed that the heavy metals have reduced our stream length, but it's all right. We're all about quality, not quantity.
That's right. That's right. Despite this being our 159th episode.
I think it's a good pace, though.
Yeah.
And we'll see you all next week. Don't drink the water. Remember that.
In Gordovan. That's right. That's right. Don't drink the water.